Today's episode is something that I think is really, really important to help you all with. And it's to make you understand why you are procrastinating. And also, right at the end, I'm going to give you some tips as well that you can actually use, that I have used myself too. So, firstly, it's about recognizing why we procrastinate. And procrastination is a problem for many of us. So, the first is probably the obvious one, a fear of failing. So, we always leave it until the last minute. I get that. That's part of procrastination. But studies have shown that actually it's our desire to actually control when we have this fear of failure. And procrastination, at the very least, I guess it makes you feel like you're in control. You are controlling that you are going to do it at the last minute. But obviously, you know this and I know this. It's not always the best scenario and it's not the best practice for moving forward and finding our voices. Point number 2, perfectionism. Now, perfectionism is very, very closely linked to procrastination. And trust me, this isn't great either, because studies have shown a high link between anxiety and depression for those of us who suffer with perfectionism. But when we look at perfectionism, we are actually just adding pressure to our mental state. And this is something that I don't want any of you to do, because perfect, does not exist. The third point is in relation to when you find your creativity. So I actually labeled this night owl. But one of the things I recognized is I'm very, very creative in the evening, almost in the middle of the night. That's where all my ideas come. And I remember back in the day, it used to stop me from sleeping because I used to think of ideas 24/7. And maybe you can relate as well. Now, the fourth point is self-doubt, a really, really important point here, because studies have shown self-doubt and procrastination to be closely linked. Now, self-doubt is okay if you are seriously self-aware, and maybe you realize that just not yet you are where you need to be. At the very least, please accept where you are now, but recognize you can and you will become so much better with execution over a long enough period of time. Now, if you recognize these are some of your traits, then yes, you are, like me, a king or a queen procrastinator. But don't despair. You know I'm not letting you leave this episode without any tangible takeaways that you can start to implement today to empower you to find your voice. Now, the first one for me was pretty simple. I just recognized I had to stop being a perfectionist. I had to let go of this elusive, impossible expectation of being perfect. The second point was that I realized my goal of becoming more as a person was way more important than these moments that were going to teach me something. You know, these moments that people call failures or lessons or teachable moments. I recognized my future was more important. Now, I call them learning moments, as I know I will never be as good today as I will be tomorrow. And just knowing that actually eases the pressure, but also inspires me for a brighter future. Just think about it. Think about what you do today so well. Playing an instrument, for example. Was you really this good when you first started? Of course you wasn't. And remember that it's important that next time you let self-doubt come in, you use that analogy. Try and remember that. And finally, point number 3. Recognize when you are at your best. So going back to the night owl point, if you know you're a night owl, then accept that. And understand that actually, it may not just be procrastination. You may just be better in the evening. Of course, if you know you're a morning person and you're purposely leaving it to the evening, then you, sir or madam, are a procrastinator. And that's the last thing we want to be after this episode. And of course, most importantly, please do hit that like button. It massively helps me. It takes me absolutely hours. And maybe that's because I'm not too great at animating videos just yet, but I really sincerely hope that the information that I provide gives you some value. So be sure to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching.